Hi, friends. I am Sweta Kaushal, and I have the honor of hosting brilliant actors who feature in lead roles in the upcoming film 420 IPC. I welcome all of you, Ranvir Shorey, Vinay Pathak, Gul Panag, and Rohan Mehra. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Shweta. Thank you for having us.
So, first of all, tell us about 420 IPC. How did you back the project, and what was your approach for preparation of your respective roles?
Go ahead, Vinay.
Okay, since I'm the oldest in the group, I would like to think I will take this question. Manish Gupta called me and asked me to read the script, which was called something else earlier. And when I read the script, I really liked it because it was well written, very tight, and a wonderful screenplay. And I agreed to do the film. At that time, I have to say it right away. Only Rohan was a part of the project. Gul and Ranveer came much later. So initially, my agreement to do the film was because I didn't know Rohan from before because the script was really well written. That's how I banged the project.
Yeah, for me, again, Manish gave me the script and he told me, Vinay and Rohan are doing these parts. And actually, he gave me a choice. He said, I really wanted to be part of this, and he gave me a choice of parts. One was for Sinha, who's another character played by Arif Takaria now in the film, and he gave me a choice between Sinha and Jamshedji. So I opted for Jamshedji because that for me was something more far from anything I've done. Like Sinha being being the businessman with shades of grey. I had already played something like that in a film which actually was with the late Irfan and never got released. But so this basically I had never played like a Parsi character who's a eccentric public prosecutor. So that seemed more attractive to me. So that's why I chose that, and he went with that.
Because we're going by age, Gulpanag.
Right. Manish reached out to me and said that he'd had this script that he wanted me to have a look at it, and I read it and I thought it was a very interesting, very tightly written legal thriller. I must admit that the part that I read for the public prosecutor and what Ranveer has done to it is phenomenal. I read the script and I thought it was an interesting script to be a part of. The cast was was something that I really thought was very interesting. I've worked with two of these actors before, Vinay and Ranveer, and they're both friends. And it would be an opportunity to also work with Rohan for the very first time. And the script, like I said, was tight and interesting, and I thought it would make a very good film. And I believe it has.
Rohan.
Yeah, I met Manish sir for the film some time ago, and I think what gave me a lot of confidence with his approach was that I met him and he was keen to work with me after he saw my debut film. This is just my second film, and he said just go ahead and read the script. He didn't try selling it to me in any other way or trying to put an asterisk and being like, okay, this is what I want. So what I'm trying to do, this is how I want to treat it. He just said, just go home, read the script, and let me know. And I think as an actor, sometimes that gives you a lot of confidence when a writer is so confident in their writing, whereas they just want to give you the script and don't want to justify anything they've done. So when I read the script, I thought it was brilliant. I thought it was very well written. It was very meticulously written. The pacing was fantastic, and I thought that this could make a really great film. And furthermore, I thought of it as a blessing that, I would have the possibility of doing this script as my second film. And the role was just so great. A young lawyer in a sort of like a David and Goliath kind of a story coming up against. And I think Manish sir always wanted to keep have established actors playing the other roles. At the time, I didn't know who the rest of the cast was, but I did trust his vision in casting brilliant actors. And I think he's outdone any thought I would have had of who to cast for this film. So yeah, I mean, it was a complete no-brainer for me, and I feel very lucky and very blessed to be a part of this project.
So before working on the film, did you guys know how CAs function in the real world and how black money travels?
Not me. I don't think I am very clued into what I mean. I have a very broad understanding of what makes black money and what makes white money. I do the best that I can to keep myself financially safe. But to be honest with you, I'm in the hands of my CA. I mean, my only understanding with my CA is that I'll do what you want and sign what you want. Just make sure I never go to jail. So yeah, I'm not very clued in with this stuff. But I always make sure that I'm on the right side of the law. That's something which comes from my father was a lawyer. He served in the civil services. So that's something which we all got at home. That make sure you are always on, always on this side of the law. Never break the law. That's it.
Vinay, you play the CA.
Yeah, I played and I have known a few CAs in my life also. No, I don't think that I have an acute knowledge of black money or how it's acquired or how it's protected or how it's generated. Whatever I have read or seen in cinema or news, that's the extent of my knowledge vis-a-vis black money is concerned. But for this film, I think the research had come from the script itself. I think it was a very well researched and well written screenplay, and I think more than half of my job was done by our writer director, Mr. Manish Gupta himself.
Gul and Rohan.
Well, one has obviously interacted a lot with CAs, and I'm somebody who's sort of quite clued in as to what my CA does, and I like being on top of things so that I don't get surprises. So I'd have to be, I would be probably a little bit more involved than say what Ranvir said he was.
And Rohan.
I mean, for me, I wasn't that accustomed to, about black money and economic offenses as such. But for me, what I try to give a little bit more emphasis on, and because I'm still very new and I'm still learning as an actor, was focusing more on who this character was as a person, where he's coming from, what he wants, what his goals were, seeing if there's anything which I can relate to as him. Because at the end of the day, we're playing human beings. The rest is all information. And like Vanessa said, the information was very much present in the script. So the main meat of it for me was researching who this person really was and how I can bring the most truthful version of that out on screen.
Ranvir, Gul Panag just mentioned, and I also felt the same watching the film. Perhaps your character has not been given as much space to establish an individuality, but it still emerges as a very peculiar one. How exactly did you work on it?
Yes, well, I mean, like I said, when I when I signed up for the film, it was for the script and the cast, and I always knew that Vinay and Rohan are the central characters, and Gul, of course, by extension, being Vinay's character's wife, is going to play that. Then I knew Sinha has this, so I knew that it's a supporting role. But it was one which I was excited about because when you're going into new territory as an actor, there is fun to be had. There is excitement. There's inspiration. So that's the thing. And Manish, to his credit, I didn't mess around with his dialogue. And by and large, he didn't mess around with the track that I'm taking to play this eccentric Parsi, legal functionary. So I think what I'm trying to say is that if there is excitement, I think something comes out of that. When you're happy and you're exploring, a new uncharted territory, there's excitement, and I think somewhere that helps. playing Savak Jamshedji it was a chance to kind of have my love for the Parsi community and all that I've observed over the years, whether it's my own personal experiences living with the growing up with Parsis all around. Good part of my growing up was with Parsis. But there was a time when my girlfriend was Parsi and my best friend was Parsi, and I was just spending time in Parsi colonies all over Bombay. And then you couple that with all the legal luminaries you've seen on news over the years. Parsi, there's many I can name, but I'm trying to lay off names because I don't want anybody to feel that I've copied them or anything. And also you add to that the many public prosecutors I have seen over the years on news. In fact, there's one particular one which again I'm not going to name, whose attitude I tried to. So I'm saying this was a chance for me to express all that. And I had a good time doing it. Hopefully the audience will too.
Gul, Vinay and Ranveer have previously worked together.
Yeah.
So there must be a vibe that they.
No,
have.
absolutely. You see, the thing is, it's an interesting question because even with my first films, for example, where you had Seth and Nikhil sir working together on several projects. So there's always, and both the projects I've done have been projects where I've been working with established actors and very good established actors or established directors. So there's always a rapport over there. So I also feel like I use the energy to my advantage, or at least I tried to with my character, where he is playing someone who's kind of trying to prove himself. Even Birbal is someone, when you see the film, you realize that the public prosecutor in Jamshedji and the judge have a rapport going on, which is very common in court, and this guy's a defense counsel, he's a young lawyer. People don't really take him seriously, which I hope my co-actor took me a little bit seriously. No, that's not the point I'm trying to make. I'm trying to say it's you use that energy, But all that said, I have to say that not once was I casted out as a black sheep or made to feel like I'm any less or I don't deserve to be there and do this, because I think all the three of them were just fantastic. Honestly, I can't be grateful enough for that.
How these streaming platforms have changed number and quality of opportunities for artists?
Oh yes, definitely, it's positive all the way as far as I'm concerned, because I think this is a blessing. It's a huge kind of a area, or a huge step in the growth of the filmmaking business. I think what we are seeing, not just with the streaming platforms, also now with YouTube and Instagram and those kind of platforms, we are actually seeing the democratization of making. Everybody's actor, a filmmaker, everybody's a journalist. Yeah, I think it's completely positive. I think that streaming platforms and these other platforms are giving more and more opportunities and better opportunities. Take my own career, for example. I wasn't getting the kind of opportunities I'm getting in streaming platforms when there were no streaming platforms. Doing films, there weren't enough opportunities for me, and I used to lament those in the press. Many times I've said that I wasn't getting those opportunities. With streaming platforms, I am. So therefore, for the last 2 years at least, you see considerable amount of my work is out there on these platforms. So to sum it up, I think I think we're living in an age better than ever as far as filmmakers are concerned.
Vinay?
I completely agree with every word that Ranveer said about the number and the opportunities increasing for artists like us, and the technicians. The employment of the film industry work is like risen like twofold. Everybody has a job, which is fantastic. You couldn't say that 10 years ago, that everybody who's decided to come into this industry has a job. And I'm not just talking about actors, I'm talking about music directors, editors, other technical people, behind camera, and even somebody like a light guy or a camera attendant or a gaffer or a focus puller. They're all busy. I'm working on a series here in Durham, and halfway through the focus puller had to leave for another one because she had already a date, and like a different focus puller had to come and take her place, and I thought it was fantastic that everybody has an opportunity to work. I I think it's good times for filmmakers, as Ranveer said, and for artists and technicians.
Gul, do you want to talk about this?
Well, essentially, I only want to add to what Ranveer and Vinay have already said. I think the consumption patterns of the audiences consuming content have changed dramatically. While the argument whether content on OTTs will compete with theaters is really a moot point, because I think there are certain experiences only best had in the theater. But the overall quantum of consumption has also gone up. Now you're consuming content while traveling in the car, while traveling, by plane, train, or by when you're consuming content between meetings to sort of zone out and take a time out. And the overall amount of content a viewer is consuming today is significantly higher than they were consuming, say, 2, 3, 4 years ago.
True.
I think the pandemic has also done something quite unique to the consumption patterns of our audiences worldwide. And I think because we are just consuming so much more content, there is, as Vinay said and Ranveer said, there is so much more content being made. So while you may do your weekly movie outing, which is an exciting affair and quite an adventure in these times, you don't know whether they're going back contracting a particular strain of virus or not. It's a cavalier thing to do, to go out there and watch a movie today. That notwithstanding, how many movies in a week can you watch in the theater? It's very hard to watch more than 2. I mean, 1 is what most people will manage if they're lucky, but they're still constantly watching something or the other. They're watching something before going to bed. They're watching something, all the time. So all that content has to be made, which means more content is being made and different kinds of content is being made. Everybody has a different preference. In fact, what's really interesting is my preference of content is completely different from my husband's preference. That is something that's only emerged over the last 3 years. Until then, we were just consuming content together. Now that we have a son, we really have to prioritize what we have to watch together, and we're half the time watching stuff independently. He's watching it somewhere else, I'm watching it somewhere else. And yes, we do the we watched 2 films in the theater in the last ever since theaters have opened, 3 maybe. But what I'm going to say here is his choice of content is vastly different from mine. There's enough content for me to consume in terms of the kind of content I like, and there's enough content for him. He likes cutter, slasher, with blood coming out everywhere kind of films. And there's lots of content there. And I think there is content for every sensibility, which means a greater amount of content catering to different sensibilities is being made. And ultimately, if Ranveer likes a particular kind of genre and Vinay likes another kind of genre, Rohan likes another kind of genre, you will seek it out because the algorithms are designed to serve you what you like.
Correct. True.
Yep. Agree.
You hit it on the nail.
Sorry, you were saying something.
I said Gul just hit it on the nail.
Yeah, I kind of want to add something to this, whereas it's what's great is that the barriers to entry of making films and creating stuff have vastly come down. And whereas if you are talented, and this alongside the digital world coming up in the sense that digital cameras and those barriers to entry to make things have vastly reduced as well. And also with the computational stuff of like what photography is happening on cameras, it's becoming much easier to make this content. That's great because everyone's getting work. If you have something to say, you can say it. There's no excuse. It's becoming a lot closer to like painting with a canvas and a paintbrush. However, I do sometimes feel there is a double-edged sword over here. I don't know if we may not be seeing it right now, but possibly in the future as well. What does happen sometimes, I just hope that we always give value. Because what happens now is you put on a show, you see 5 minutes of it, and you decide that, I don't like it, I'm just going to switch it off. And there's this tendency to not respect what's being put out there, because the people who have made this have put in a lot of hard work, so it's almost like, okay, I'm going to try it, test it. If I don't like it, throw it away. Inevitably in public interest, because the public decide what they want to see, but there's also the other side of it, the people who are making it, giving that value to it. So somewhere I think I'm a big advocate for physical media, for example. Like if I like a film, I'll still go out there and buy the Blu-ray and buy the DVD, and you value it, or you value the vinyl you're getting, you value these things. Whereas now it's become very single-serving in a sense. So I think as long as we don't get into a place where we're completely getting into the cookie-cutter system and just disregarding stuff and not giving value to what's being made, I think we're great.
Rohan, do you want to talk about any lessons that you took from your father, his life, his career? And
yeah, sure. I mean, I think my case is quite an exceptional case, I would say, perhaps because I never met my father. He passed away when my mom was pregnant with me. So and I was far away from Bollywood. I lived 20 years out of India, but I think just discovering him through other people's interactions with him and other people's opinions of him and the films you see, and that itself is a story. That's a journey. I mean, we can sit here for hours and talk about that. But what I had, because all of it right now is secondhand information. The man is not here to tell me himself of what he's experienced. It's all via. This is what he thought. This is what happened. But what I have taken away is him having a sincere love for art, him having a sincere love for films, him always putting being a good human being before anything else. I mean, that's far away from films and what we try to do. Sometimes, being a good human being doesn't necessarily translate into being the most celebrated actor. But I think the biggest lesson I've learned from him are the lessons of how to be as a human being and how to, and that obviously that is there because I watch his films and I see what he's done. But I think the biggest and the greatest gift he's given to me is that, how to live my life.